All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Another episode, Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. I am at Podapalooza, and I will explain what this event is all about a little bit later. But, at this event, I have access to quite a few amazing speakers, and we're on a really tight time leash. So I want to go ahead and get started and make sure everybody understands. I am here with Mary Scott. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you so much, Margot.
Well, I tell you what, everybody, Mary Scott is an award-winning director and producer. She has paid her dues and introduced some very interesting work to the world. But now her focus is upon new entrepreneurs, startup businesses. Is that right, Mary?
That is. I want to help young things grow and change the world.
Well, I tell you what, seems that you've not behind the camera any longer, and the experiences, the industry experience, the life experiences, you're bringing all of that to startup businesses. And it's a scary thing to start a business. Don't you agree?
It is. It can be really scary, particularly for women, more so than men.
Yeah.
But it certainly can be done. Okay. And if you've got support, grab that village and let them help you.
Well, that's what I want to ask you about. How you get people started, because it seems as though you give the support, you give the knowledge, the action, what's next? You do this, you do that, you do this. Take us on a journey. What does it look like to work with Mary Scott? And we are a brand new business.
Well, for one thing, I really want to know what your idea is. And I want to know that you've done some work and validated it, so that you've asked people you don't know what they think of the idea, that you have asked people who are potentially your clients if this is something they can use, and just how much of a raving fan are they. So that's the first step. And there are specific things to do to start a business legally, and I have a nice download for that. I do a workshop for startups on don't do this, 10 mistakes people make when they're starting a business, because you're supposed to make mistakes. You're supposed to learn from your mistakes, but don't make the same mistakes everybody else makes. Make your own.
I like that. I like that a lot.
My mission is to get startups ready for venture capital.
That's the difference. Instead of just starting up, you are guiding them for venture capital, because venture capital is going to be the vehicle that's going to cause them to grow, correct?
Exactly. If you can't scale, you're not really a business. You're in a gig economy.
Oh, wow. Oh, say that once again, because I haven't heard it placed just that way.
Well, there are people who are actually in business, and they want to have employees and scale and grow. And the other are people who are self-employed, but they're just doing a gig.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm glad that you gave us the difference also, because there is a big difference in motivation, drive, stamina, and who should work with you.
Exactly.
I understand that you created the Startup Resource Guide. Tell us about that, please.
Yeah, well, I landed in St. Louis about 7 years ago and was so impressed with the startup ecosystem here. There were dozens of resources out there for brand new businesses. And coming from video and documentary, I love hearing new things. I would wander through Venture Cafe and poke my nose into conversations where they were talking about something I'd never heard of. So learning new stuff, finding out new stuff. But all of these resources kind of weren't talking to each other. And I thought, wait a minute, gang. You might not be on the same page, but you're all in the same book. Yeah. So I took it on myself to collect the links from like 65 plus resources and make like check boxes, what exactly they do for startups. So which resource do you use at what stage in your business? And I put them all together at stlstartupecosystem.org. So that's another one of the first things you do when you start a business is you don't name the business until you can get a URL that is the name of the business. So I put this together, and now the resources, it's a great place for startups to find resources, but it's also a really good place for resources to know who else is in the system. So that when someone comes to you and they're not ready for you yet, you don't just say, sorry. You say, you know what? Go talk to this person.
Wow. This is amazing. I'm sitting here just listening, and I wish I had access to something like that when I started, and I'm sure I'm not the only one.
That was my impetus as well. As a startup, I found stuff by accident, and it just made the startup process that much longer and harder. And you're wandering around blind, and until you make those connections that then send you to other connections. And I figured, hey, if I can make the path a little easier for the next guy, next girl, I want to do that.
Got you. I'm thinking back, I'm still stuck on this, how we build out initially. Can we step back, walk back on that just a little bit? I'm looking at the time, it's trotting by, but I think it's important that we understand if you want to build and you know that you're going to want to scale, you're going to want to have employees. Are there certain things that you do in particular to build out versus a person who just wants to maybe be an LLC, they're doing gig work and that's the extent of it?
Right. Well, the person who really wants to create a company that's going to scale needs to think about, at the very least, a national market, not just a local market.
Wow.
You need to think in terms of how many of whatever you're doing can you provide on a daily basis? Is it something that you can have other people make for you? Is it a process you can have other people sell for you? A lot of startups are in tech, so it's an app or it's a piece of equipment that you wear that can do something for you or for your pets, or but there has to be a larger vision, and you have to not have to do it all yourself. You need to have the mindset that you're going to pull a team together to actually create something.
Gotcha.
So the ability to delegate and the big vision, very, very important for startups that want to scale and actually, because what venture capital wants to do with their investment is eventually get out. They'll put in the investment, but they want to make their money and be out of the business.
Gotcha. Yeah, I love this picture that you're painting. These are the folks that we see on Shark Tank. We don't necessarily see the gig folks over on Shark Tank.
No.
So giggers, don't go over there. Go ahead and, if you're building out a company, corporation.
Sure. I mean, if you enjoy being a drone pilot, that's one thing. But if you want a company, you need to hire a bunch of drone pilots and have them be doing different kinds of projects and showing the next potential clients, this is what we can do for you, to be able to scale and go further from that.
Got you. Mary Scott, a person they are at the place in their life where they say, yeah, I'm going to do this. I am going to build out a company, and they want to work with you. How do they get in contact with you, and how do they get a copy of the Startup Resources Guide?
Startup Resources Guide is a website, and we can put that in the comments or the descriptions. I'm easy to get a hold of because, for one thing, a lot of businesses need to do more networking. And particularly now, we're getting used to doing a lot of digital networking, virtual networking. So I'm Mary Scott. I have the information. You go to maryscott.info and you will find links to all kinds of virtual networking. So that's one way to get access to some of my resources. And you can always find me at businessriff.com. And I think I'm Mary Scott STL in LinkedIn.
Mary Scott on LinkedIn. Got you.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that we are clear about before we get with you, we need to make sure that we're clear about the big picture, what we want, where we see this going.
But, I work with people who are giggers as well, because there are things that can make your business life easier and pitfalls to avoid. Anytime you're starting a business, you need to understand the legalities of stuff and some of the tax ramifications and some of the questions to ask. So you know how to hire a lawyer, you know how to hire an accountant, and you have to have a sense of what those questions are. People get into business because they know how to do something or they know how to make something. They don't necessarily know business. Mm-hmm. And every business needs 3 people on the team. They need the marketing guy, they need the accountant, and they need the lawyer. Marketing guy helps you make money.
Yes.
The accountant helps you keep most of it. And the lawyer keeps you out of trouble.
Oh my God, this is so true. And we don't know this when we're starting out.
Don't know these things. And you can get legal, you can get somebody with Legal Shield. And, for the small amount of money, rather than billable hours, it's certainly a way to get started.
Wow. You're going to save a lot of people from a lot of grief. I already know that. And shave off years of growing, not growing or crawling. You're going to let people run instead of crawl. That's what I hear you say.
I tell people they can get a whole semester of business school in an hour with me.
That I do believe. Mary Scott, this has been a pleasure. You're going to have to come back because I'm stuck. I am stuck. I want you to come back and let's talk about getting yourself ready to build out a company. And what do us gig folks need to know when we're building our foundations? So promise me you'll come back and enlighten us, because I know you've heard of the Great Resignation. So many people are going into business. They're doing something else. They're following their heart. We need what you have so that our foundations are built upon not sinking sand.
Oh yeah, you want to follow your heart as painlessly as possible.
So true, so true. Wow. Well, as I said, everybody, I'm here at Potapalooza, and my guest at this hour was Mary Scott. And you are entrepreneurs, need to get in contact with this lady because the foundation is everything. You can't go up, you can't go out without a decent foundation. I'll bring some more guests to you in a little bit, but in the meantime, thanks for listening. I'll see you next time. And Mary Scott is coming back. You heard her say so. Bye-bye, everybody.